This year, I was fortunate enough to see 39 2023 films, and it's finally time to talk about my favorite films of the year. I do this every year, sometimes it's a little bit earlier, but I've been super busy, as you guys kind of know, and finally I'm back here in Toronto, kind of steady setup and everything like that. So I'm going to talk about my favorite films, and remember, this is my personal favorite. There is no automatic best or worst, and I never do worst videos for a few reasons. Normally I just don't see enough bad movies, but also I don't really love talking about the worst movies of the year, but I love talking about the best movies of the year. These are my personal picks. I'm going to talk about 10, but before I go into the list or my honorable mentions, I want to say here's a list of the films I did not get to see this year, and I will see them eventually, but they won't be in this video. And if you're wondering why, because some of these are pretty decently popular movies, that's why. I just didn't get the chance to see them yet. Timing and all that, being in university and all that type of stuff. It doesn't always work out that way, but I'm going to start off with my honorable mentions. These are films I really love, but they just missed the top 10 mark. The films are Talk to Me, Saw X, The Killer, Air, and Saltburn. Now it's time to get into the list. Coming in at number 10, we have Blackberry. Blackberry is one of the last films I watched this year, and it absolutely blew me away. Normally, I don't enjoy the style of filmmaking where the camera is constantly moving and zooming in and out, but in this case, it absolutely works. It's a story that literally hits close to home because a lot of it takes place not far away from where I grew up. And seeing Glenn Howerton in this role absolutely blew me away because I started It's Always Sunny recently, so I love him as Dennis in that, and he is just such a powerful character, and the performance here, and to know so much of this film is Canadian made, really made it feel even more special. Coming in at number 9, we have Priscilla. Priscilla is one of the most raw and delicate films of the year, but it is absolutely beautifully directed by Sofia Coppola, and the acting is nothing short of incredible. Both the lead actors gave absolutely excellent performances here, and the cinematography was absolutely gorgeous. There's so much that I didn't know about this side of the story, which I'm glad this film gave light to, and it's a good contrast with Elvis coming out last year. You do see two almost completely different sides of the same story, and this film really impacted me on ways that I didn't expect it, and I actually enjoyed it even more than I expected to. Coming in at number 8, we have Barbie. Barbie is a fan favorite of the year, and for good reason. Not only is it the funniest film I've seen all year and one of the most entertaining, but it is also one of the most emotional. Greta Gerwig once again knocks it out of the park with just this gorgeous story on girlhood and what it's really like being a woman, while still including all this stuff about a doll that came out all these years ago, and having Ryan Gosling just have the time of his life here, and we have Margot Robbie, Simu Liu, so many people. I could go down and list every single person in the cast, but all of them were amazing. Kate McKinnon was a standout. I mean, there wasn't a bad performance in the movie. There wasn't a bad scene in it. Everybody was having the time of their life, and then ended up crying at the end. I saw this one twice in theaters. It is, I think, the only film I saw twice in theaters this year, and when I saw it with my friend for the second time, she was crying, and I knew that meant something. Coming in number 7, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. One of the most emotional films from the MCU, is also one of the best. I am a huge Guardians fan. I love the first one. The second one I need to revisit, and the third one is nearly as good as the first one. We have just this great cast of characters which we already love, and you fall deeper in love with them because of this story. Emotionally, it takes you on a ride. James Gunn just knew what he was doing here. The fight scenes are just so well choreographed. They're so intense. The soundtrack, once again, just blows you away. This is one of my favorite soundtracks of recent years. And of course, the emotional stakes are very high. You learn so much about Rocket, and it totally pays off in the end. This is, without a doubt, one of the highlights of the MCU of the past few years, and probably of all time. Coming in number 6, we have Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Keeping it up with the superhero trend, we have my favorite animated film of the year by far. This is one of the greatest superhero films I've seen. Once again, it actually, in my opinion, surpasses the first one while telling just this insanely chaotic and fast-moving story. It's a long film, but it absolutely flies by. The animation is maybe the best I've ever seen or will ever see. Some of the moments here were shocking. They were equally entertaining and funny, and still there was a sense of mystery that lingered throughout this film, and you discover more about Miles and all the other characters who I love. The voice acting was out of this world amazing. I just had a blast with this film, and I cannot wait for part 2. Coming in at number 5, we have Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, a film that I was super excited for years because the Mission Impossible franchise is one of my favorites, and I love Fallout just like everybody else. It is my favorite of the franchise, and this one is very close behind it. Tom Cruise once again knocks it out of the park when it comes to stunt work. His acting's amazing. You learn more about Ethan Hunt, and everything becomes more interesting. The new cast of characters are amazing here while still bringing in older familiar faces and having it work, just like how the shadows are working in the back of this video. This features some of the most intense and best action sequences I've ever seen because almost everything in here is real, and it's a part 1 that still feels conclusive as a singular film. But I'm also super excited for the second part. Coming in number 4, we have Killers of the Flower Moon. Of course, Scorsese was going to be on this list. I was lucky enough to see this film early, and it did not disappoint. 3.5 hours of mystery, heartbreak, betrayal, everything you can expect in a Scorsese film, while still being respectful and important nowadays. It's a film that still should be watched as it still tells a story of something that happened so long ago. It is just as, if not even more important nowadays. Lily Gladstone deserves every award possible for her incredible performance. Leonardo DiCaprio once again is just the perfect leading man. Robert De Niro is the greedy, dirty, evil old man that you just can't help but watch. You're not rooting for him, but you want to see what happens next. And as the film progresses and you learn more about the Osage community and everything like that, it's something that is so interesting in so many different ways. It's one of the best looking films of the year, one of the best directed. The musical cues and everything, just the actual sound, the sound of one of the characters just smoking a cigarette is something that is strangely appealing because cigarettes are gross. And of course, it features some of the best acting from everybody all around, not just the main actors. The ensemble cast is mind-blowing. There's just more names, more familiar faces that keep popping up here, and I absolutely adored this film. Coming in at number 3, we have The Iron Claw. The Iron Claw was a film that I didn't hear about for a while, and then when it was announced, I was like, oh, Zac Efron, new movie. I'm a big Zac Efron fan. I think he's amazing as Ted Bundy. A few years ago, he did a really good job here. But The Iron Claw is the best performance of his entire career and will forever be. Jeremy Allen White is incredible here. Everybody is so goddamn good in this movie. It is a film that will inspire you and pump you up and then absolutely rip out every last bit of your heart, all in the span of just over 2 hours. It is one of the best films I've seen of the past few years. It was something that I was super excited to see going into it, hearing so much about it, but not knowing the actual story of the Von Erich wrestler or family or whatever you want to say. And the experience of it was something that was quite emotional for me as someone who grew up in such a big sports family, not wrestling, but a big sports family. There's a lot of stuff in here that is relatable, obviously not as intense as this one, but there are themes in this film it's carried with all the characters that really impacted me. And when I was leaving the theater, there was an old man, probably about 60 years old, and his wife, and he was sitting like this on the bench crying, and his wife was consoling him, and he just walked out of this movie. If that doesn't say how good this movie is, I don't know what will. Coming in at number 2, we have Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan's latest masterpiece is just once again an achievement in every single aspect of filmmaking ever. Cillian Murphy gives probably the best performance I've seen all year as Robert J. Oppenheimer. And of course, this is a film that has been talked about to death and analyzed and everything already, with only being out for 6 or 7 months or whatever it's been. But it's a film that will always stick with me, will probably always stick with you. It's one that I've been dying to rewatch, and of course is one of the best looking films of the year. So many practical effects went into this, but it all really came down to Cillian Murphy to lead this film, and he does it with such power, and he demands your attention on the screen while still not distracting you from the excellent performances from Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt, or every single person in this film. Again, it's another one that I could just go down the list naming everybody in it, but they're all amazing. You've probably all seen the film. You probably all love it, and for good reason. It is one of the best Christopher Nolan films probably ever, and it's one that will continue to be studied for so long. It's just really flawless on every single level. But coming in at number 1, my favorite film of 2023 is John Wick Chapter 4. Now, there is not an action film I can think of since Mission Impossible Fallout that really hit me in this way, but this one I found even more impactful. Now, one of the big reasons of that is because I just got home from Europe for the first time. I'd never been, and watching this film like 2 days later, I think, after coming back, I was seeing the locations I was just at the week before, but Keanu Reeves and Bill Skarsgård and all these people were there, and so much of the important scenes in this film took place where I had literally just stepped foot. So I really connected with this film because of that. But also, it is just the neon colors of John Wick pop absolutely in this film. The action sequences, the crane shot where he's going through that one building, one of the greatest I've ever seen. I climbed the stairs where John Wick kept getting kicked down. I mean, this film really, as an action film, is a staple of modern filmmaking when it comes to the sound of a punch on a punching bag, how that opens a film and rattles a theater. Keanu Reeves kills it once again. I mean, people always love to give him shit, but he is not only the nicest guy in Hollywood, but he is just the perfect action star still today, doing so many of these stunts. And there are countless sequences in this film that will blow you away. Yet the emotional drama of friends and ghosts from your past popping up to hunt you is so strong and prominent in this film, and that's what pushes it from being a really entertaining action film to just being a masterpiece and my personal favorite film of the year. But let me know what your favorite films of the year are. I know I missed some big ones like The Holdovers and Past Lives, which I will check out soon. I just haven't got the chance to. And thank you all for watching. It's been a great year, 2023. I know it's 2024 now. I'm very excited to share with you all the films and everything I've been working on and will be working on this year. There's a lot of exciting news and a lot of the same stuff for the channel, but maybe some different versions of what you've already seen. If you want to check out the full list of 2023 movies, check it out on my letterbox, which will be linked down below, and I will see you guys next time. Over and out.